She's a beaut, isn't she? Would you like to hear all about my Warbonnet Superfly tarp? And then would you like to take a look at all the other tarps I own? I was talking on the telly to Ted, and then I tentatively thought I would talk to you about tarps. So here is my Warbonnet Superfly tarp with doors. I gotta tell you, this is one spacious tarp. When I get under there in my hammock, it just seems huge. Now I've got the doors in several different configurations here. On this rear door, I have it staked down, which is easy to do. Every corner looks like that. Has a D-ring that's actually more of a triangle. I go to a short piece of my no tangle line, Spectra line down there to stake out. Now I use a little clip. Actually, is my preferred method. It's just a little small clamp that I get at Home Depot or any home store, and I roll my doors up to keep them back when I'm not using them, if I don't have them like that. And that, my friends, is very handy to have two doors. Close it up. This one's rolled, but most people pull them back like this. I prefer to pull them to the outside if I do that, and just tie them off over on one of the guy outs. This tarp is a sil nylon tarp, meaning it's got a nice olive brown color to it. There are other choices. I think they have camo and some colors like that. Because it is a big tarp, it is nice to use the pull-outs and use a line to give yourself a little more space. This tarp has an 11-foot ridge line across the top, 4.5 feet from ridge line to here. A lot of ways to use your tie outs there that open up space. One of the easiest is to take that angle up and just go to a tree. And if I go inside, you can see that really opens the room up. I'm hoping you can see that on camera. Really pulls that up, whereas this one is not tied back. And you can see I can push that way back. Down here I'll end up having a lot more room with that tie out tied off. And that's also if the wind is coming this way and you're pitched, it really keeps that tarp from blowing in on you. And when you've got a large tarp like this, that's a lot of tarp to catch the wind if it's sideways. So good idea to get used to learning how to use your tie outs well, and don't be scared to use them. I always think it's best to get your tie outs up in the air a little bit so it's not pulling down straight to the ground. The more you get it up, the higher it kind of lifts your pull out, and you just get a little bit more room in there. So what I do is I just have one of my tie out lines. It's this one right here that goes to this side. It is a little bit longer than this one, so I can come down, wrap it around my pole a little bit, and then stake that down to the ground. And of course, you know, you could use a stick, but that really affords you good bit of room in there. Really opens that tarp up, as you can see, giving a lot more room inside. Hoping you can see how that opens that tarp up a good deal. Of course, you can always just do your pull-outs this way too, a little easier. I don't think you get as much room in there, but you know, if it was a windy night, it would still help keep the tarp blow in on you. Not as effective as up here, I don't think. And the longer that line is, the better pull. Hey, there's me. Hey man, what you say? Hey there, buddy. I think the longer the line, the better pull you get. So if that line were up, you could see it just pulls it up a little better. Either way, there's going to be times with a big tarp like that with a lot of side where that wind is going to be pounding on you, and you're going to need to do something there. Now, that said, they also do, I don't use them, but they also make some poles, little short poles that can go over the top of your tarp to to hold it open. And a lot of people prefer that method. I just haven't gotten there yet. I do use a pole mod on the inside of my winter tarp, but I've never tried the one over the top. And I will put a link to that pole in the description box below this video. So make sure you look there. Please, could you, would you, should you? I think you should. Now, go ahead and do it. I'll wait right here. You didn't look down there at all, did you? You were just scratching yourself and fiddling around. That's okay. Check it out later. Pitching a tarp is a true art, and everybody does it a little bit differently. I'm just showing what I do here, and maybe that'll give you some insight to find your way to the way you like pitching your tarp. But let's just take a moment here and look at the stakes I carry. And yes, a lot of people like to go in the woods and just use sticks that they find. I never seem to find a decent stick that suits me. Maybe I'm picky, but I like just bringing my little stakes, and I bring a little assemblage is what I do. Some just because I have a lot of stakes and it's fun, and some just hold better than others, and it's just a constant test for me. But I carry stakes, call me crazy. I guess I can, well, I'm gonna weigh them, so you can mock me if you want, but I just like having them, and I carry them, and I enjoy them, and that way I got them right away, and I don't even have to spend time looking around. You do what you do, and I'll do what I do, and somewhere we'll meet in the middle. Okay, with my Superfly setup, I carry 6 stakes. And man, I know that's 2.4 ounces. That's just crazy, man. I mean, that's 1/8 of a pound. What am I thinking? I'm not thinking at all. I don't know why I carry those stakes. I really shouldn't. But you know what? I'm gonna keep carrying them because I like them. You know, go ahead and do what suits you. You're gonna find your groove if you camp enough. So let's just move on. 2.4 ounces, which is 68 grams. That's what I carry. So let's take a look at the stakes that I tote. So I carry a little stuff sack that I've always carried to use my stakes. And so I have that. What I like to do for this particular Superfly tarp is I carry 3 of my titanium stakes. I carry 2 of my aluminium stakes, because they're a little bit thicker than the titanium, and sometimes depending on the soil, these work better. These always work great, but sometimes these work better. And then I carry one of these wonderful stakes I got with my Amok hammock, and it tends to bite in really well. Also with this setup, I do bring these 2 sets of lines, plus a third for doing the pullouts. And those lines with these little tiny carabiners on them measure, I know it's crazy, but it looks like it's, what is that, 0.8 of an ounce. So not even an ounce, really. 23 grams, 0.8 of an ounce. I like them. They make things quick, and that's what I'm looking for out there. It gives me more time to lollygag. So that's what I do. That's my setup. This is my DIY Black Crow tarp. Let's look at that. Weights, size, and whatnot. Blackout. So there's my little Black Crow tarp next to a standard sort of Nalgene bottle, even though this is a Camelback, but basically the same size. Now, let's weigh it. That tarp is 15.7 ounces. That's 444 grams. And that includes some snake skins on here, all the lines, and probably even a little piece of extra cord in there that I carry. So under a pound. It's a great tarp. I use this probably 90% of the time on my videos and for most of my trips. Love this tarp. Love it because I made it myself. It's still nylon. Now, we're going to take a look at it. I'm going to lay it up on top of the Superfly. Woo! So we can see the size difference. And I made this tarp. The whole point of it was to have minimal coverage, yet enough that I don't get wet, but I can see the woods a lot. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have never gotten wet under that tarp, because what's important about a tarp is pitching it properly. Not so much the tarp. Bring it down, pitch it low when the weather's, violent and wet and windy. Pitch it up high when it's hot. Spread it out wide open when it's hot. Throw one end back so it's more like a lean-to when you, don't need full tarp coverage. And bring it down real steep when you do, like a very tight A-frame like that, instead of a wide open tarp like that. So never been wet in it, so really my philosophy is, it's the pitch, not the tarp, but it is the tarp life.
Gonna string my tarp up good and tight. Shoe's gonna sleep real dry tonight. Real dry. Oh my. No raindrop from the sky. Doors or flaps, none at all. Sail or Spintex. That's your call. That's your call. Sail or spin now, that's your call.
That Spintex, kinda crinkly. Make me a mite bit nervous.
Yeah. Tarp life, y'all. Yeah.
And anything could happen because you're not in a tent. This is my Cuban tarp. It's a Cuban tarp. This is it. Let's see how big it is. This is from Hammock Gear. They make a nice Cuban tarp. So here's the size of the Cuban tarp with doors next to a water bottle. Now this is the Cuban tarp. Pretty sure I have snake skins on there and all the lines, and that comes out to 9.9 ounces. That's 280 grams. So here's the Cuban on there. Same thing, 11-foot ridgeline. So, and keep in mind, I use 11-foot hammocks for the most part. I do have a structural ridgeline on my hammocks, so they're not stretched out to 11 feet. They're sort of drawn in a little bit. So I always use an 11-foot hammock under an 11-foot ridgeline tarp. Always have about this much room or so on the end. Some people aren't comfortable with that. I know Warbonnet makes a new tarp called the Mini Fly that has a little short piece over the end that protects that. But anyway, this one is 3.5 feet from ridgeline down. It's got a very slight cat cut, 11-foot ridgeline, and you can see I have the doors tied back, so there's a lot of room with those doors. If you're brand new to hammock camping or just tarping, personally I would just recommend getting a Sil Nylon tarp, not a Cuban. Cubans cost a lot. The material is expensive, so it costs a lot to sell them. It's not so much the making, it's just that the actual fabric, because it's super lightweight. What you're paying for really is if you're a person who's really looking to shave your weight, and every experienced backpacker will go through there. I don't like the term gram weenie, but you're gonna strive for taking your heavy pack and going ultra light. Some of that is just rethinking your gear. A lot of that means buying new gear. You'll also save some weight in your tarp. By the time you add your lines and however you rig it, most people don't want to use snake skins or whatever. They don't add a lot of weight, and I find them handy, but you're going to add on a little bit more weight. But it's for the person that's really trying to knock off every ounce, every gram. All right? I'm going to add my video for the Hammock Gear Cuban Fiber Tarp at the end of this video, and even put a link in the box below. Go down there and look. Just make sure. You did. Okay. Seriously? All right. I trust you. So I just get excited talking about tarps. I love sleeping under a tarp. I love everything about tarps. I like talking to you about tarps. I really just wanted to show my tarp and just say tarp a lot. Tarp, 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 tarp. So I also have my big winter tarp, and I have a separate video on that. I'm not going to get that out today. That's a tarp with it's got doors with Velcro. It's got a pole mod inside. That's more my heavy duty snow camping tarp. So I'll put a link on that. Where? Seriously, you don't know where? In the video box below. All right, there's my winter tarp, which is used exclusively for deep winter camping here in Minnesota. And that tarp is a lot heavier, and I know it is 862 grams and 1.14.4 ounces. So, you know, getting close to 2 pounds, but there's a lot going on with that tarp right there. And that doesn't even really include the pole that I bring. Normally when I bring this tarp, I'm pulling my pulk. So, you know, the weight becomes a little less of a factor then, because I don't travel as far in the winter. It's a whole different deal. But that's my winter tarp. And this was one of the first tarps I made, and I kept adding things. I added doors, I added the Velcro, I added the pole mods. It sort of became my winter tarp. It morphed into that. And now for that glorious and magic moment of putting the Superfly tarp back into its long snake tube. Voila. And finally here we look at all the tarps side by side. My water bottle, my DIY Black Crow tarp, my Cuban fiber tarp, my War Bonnet Superfly, and my winter tarp. And you can see the sizes right there.
I hope you enjoyed this video on the tarp.
Oh, Security Centers. Woo, buddy! Yeah, just remember, kids, it's not about what can we do to stop what you do, because we don't like what you do, so we're going to get together and we're going to stop what you do. Not about that. It's about what can I do to help you out. May I assist you, because I have got myself together and I would like to help you. Let's do a little bit more of that. Can you join me on that, people? It's not that hard. Let's pull it together. I think we can do it. Now get in there. Everybody put your hand in. Freak show on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Whoa. That was no good.